Every human being is born with two questions. Where do we come from, and are we alone? I have an answer to neither of these. A friend of mine approached me the other day and was asking about the Fermi Paradox, which in the simplest way that I can explain it from what I have read is it basically states, although there is no evidence of having made contact with extraterrestrial life forms, the probability of there being extraterrestrial life forms is pretty likely. When you consider the size of the galaxy, it seems likely there is intelligent life form elsewhere. Personally, I don't even need the science for that. I just look around, and if humans are as good as it gets, if we're the top of evolution and the top of the food chain, that is so incredibly disappointing that I refuse to believe it. There's no way with the infinity of the galaxy that we're the only life-sustaining planet, and of all the life-sustaining planets that there could be, we're the most intelligent, the most evolved, the highest caliber. I absolutely refuse to believe that.
You are full of bullshit, my friend. I will sue you for everything you have. I will sue your ass.
Welcome to 86 Charles, with your hosts John Darby and Travis Spencer.
Travis Spencer, I missed you, man.
John Darby took a nice week off. How was your week?
It was good. It was very good.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Not as productive as it normally is, but it was nice.
You needed a week off. You sound a little bit stressed out. I made the executive decision that you needed some time.
I'm just glad when you assert a leadership role.
It's what I do here. And on that note, I was taking some notes during your little monologue there, and you had a couple questions, so I want to ask
Please.
Or answer them for you. Where do we come from? You come from your parents. Are we alone? We're not alone, bro. You've got other human beings you can reach out to. Stop looking for the aliens to solve all your problems.
I'm not looking for aliens to solve my problems. Don't take it like that. I'm looking for aliens to put us in our place.
We are a very, very cocky species.
Yes.
There's no way in hell we're the most intelligent thing out there. In fact, we've barely started to understand enough about science that we know nothing.
Yeah.
And that leaves so much room for the kind of life that can be out there, because we can only define life as the way our lives are, the way our evolution has evolved.
Sure.
Which makes sense. Of course, that's all we can observe. But if 94% of the universe is dark matter and dark energy, and we don't even know what the hell that is, that could be just eyeballs looking at us. I think of the Google neural network, those pictures that I was showing that I've been talking about ad nauseum. And it's like, literally, it could be in the sky around us that we can't see these things, but there's a gerbil hanging out of a cloud that you had no idea because you can't see it because you got a stupid human eyeball, but a computer can perceive it.
Well, I like to qualify it as there is other intelligent life out there. I think it's safe to say that yes, of course, there are other living organisms and things, but I like to qualify it as there is other intelligent life. And in my estimation, It's going to be more intelligent than we are.
And it's probably most likely way different than how we've ever perceived it in movies or anything. The closest thing is probably like what HAL 9000 is in Space Odyssey. It's like this all-knowing entity that's around us that we just can't see. Well, that was a computer that became conscious, but like that. Which
do you not think that they'll have?
Might be
do
there.
you not think they'll have a physical form?
I think that they're multi-dimensional, at least some of them. So like they can go in between dimensions, and maybe they're always around us, but we can't see them. So they're like hidden in plain sight. But I think they can come to form when they want to, because they're that evolved. They're so far beyond us that they've either gotten rid of their body or figured out that consciousness and intelligence, or consciousness is all they need to exist. So they don't even have bodies, and they can shapeshift and come in and out of bodies.
Yeah,
but that's just one possible angle.
Well, I was going to say, I don't want to get too sci-fi and too Star Trek, but I guess I agree with you for the most part. I feel like that they would have a physical form, but probably one that was more fluid. when you talk about other dimensions, that for me is very, very, very hard to process.
Yeah, you get squirrely with that.
I really do. Like that's really hard for me to wrap my mind around. It's like I get it, and it's not that I don't, that I'm like, oh no, that's ridiculous. That doesn't exist. That's just really hard for me to grasp as a concept. My favorite, I think Neil deGrasse Tyson, and other, I don't think he came up with this, but okay, so if you hold your arms out from left to right as far as you can go, like that would be, that signifies the electromagnetic spectrum. So that's all of energy. And what we can see and perceive of light and, energy is the very, if you put your fingernail in front of your face, is the width of the fingernail is what we perceive. So in all those other lights, in all that other energy, there might be a million, billion, trillion entities roaming around in energy that we don't even realize, because we're thinking that everything has to be physical, like this. But there's so much energy out there that we can't perceive with our weak little observational eyes. Like there's so much possibility for that it's out there. There was a great video that Bill Nye did on the Fermi Paradox, and he was talking about, he's like, they may have been communicating with us the entire time. He's like, give or take, Absolutely. We've only been listening for the last 50 years. Yeah. And we may not have the right tools to receive their communication. So to say that they haven't reached out, it could be untrue. We don't know. We owe it to ourselves and to society to keep listening and to keep trying to communicate ourselves. Or we're computer programmed and we're only being programmed to see ourselves. It's a test, kind of the God thing, right? You always lose me there. You don't like the computer program one? I don't like the computer program one. I don't. What happens when important as we all think we are, and we're not. We're much smaller than we give ourselves credit for. I don't think that we're just like an ant farm to some greater being. I don't think that we're just kind of this experiment. I don't think it's all just a game or a program or anything like that. Possibility exists, man. Well, of course it exists. The longer we go with this paradox and the better our science gets, it's like it becomes more feasible that like possibly we're being watched, or it's the zoo hypothesis that even if you don't want to say it's computer program, is that somebody developed this planet or found it and they decided not to touch us because we were so unique in a way, or they just don't care to play with. I don't know. I can believe we're being observed to destroy ourselves. And I would even be willing to concede that we're possibly being manipulated. But I still don't, like I said, I don't think that it's all just this game that's designed. So what happens when we do this with with robots? Like, it's going to happen soon enough. It's already happening. We'll put them in their own little world. Yeah. But we're also going to program robots to have emotions, to feel, and to think that they're real. Have you seen Ex Machina yet? Watch that movie. No. We can't even talk robotics or computer programming or even the Fermi Paradox until you do some more educational research. My stance is always the same on that. Until we completely understand humans with emotions, I don't want to give anything else emotions. I firmly am against that. But the thing is, I agree with that. You're probably right, but that doesn't matter. Like we don't know why humans go shoot up movie theaters. So we're going to program a robot to be just as unpredictable? That seems like a terrible idea. There should be people more intelligent than myself that realize that that's not going to work. You would hope so, man. You would hope so.
East Point, smoke some bang.
What in the fuck is 86 Chuck?
We're all made of 86charles.com, man.
Oh, you're such an ass.
Speak for yourself, idiot.
Let some more hate accumulate.
It's 2015. What the hell's going on, man?
It's scary.
Strange world we live in.
Yep. The wizard's up to his old tricks.
Hey! Our boy got some rain.
There's so much going wrong in the world that I cannot be concerned with two dudes playing butt games. I don't care.
God is an American.
God is an American.
Cause I'm cooler than the polar bear's toenails. Oh hell, there he go again, talking that shit. Bend corners like I was a curve. I struck a nerve, and now you about to see the southern player serve. Nah.
Nickel.
What? 5 topics currently trending. I held that one out since we took last week off.
Thanks, buddy.
I'm going to start off, dude. Want to talk about drugs?
Do it. I love drugs.
You're not going to like this
Some
one.
drugs.
The U.S. Food and Drug Administration has approved its first drug manufactured using 3D printing. Aprecia's epilepsy-fighting Spiritam, I hope I'm saying that right, medication uses a porous 3D printed formula to help deliver even very high doses while remaining easy to swallow. Spiritam won't be available until the first quarter of 2016, and then only by prescription. If it takes off, though, it could do a lot to help patients of all kinds deal with unpleasant medicine. 3D printed prescription drugs.
Well, this is also really important for another thing, and it's essentially that they could make, because for the longest time, drugs have been made in factories and they're a single recipe. So the idea that you could 3D print them means that essentially we could get down to the point where we could make drugs on a patient-by-patient situation, and that could really revolutionize the whole thing, where you're like, okay, this person needs this, this, and this, but this thing that they might react to, not that I'm saying doctors are going to be this good, but hopefully that is the hope of this technology.
To make it more specific per patient, you mean?
Absolutely. So that we could cut down on maybe all the side effects and nonsense that make pharmaceutical drugs such a joke right now.
Pharmaceutical drugs just kind of scare me in general. It sounds weird to say it like this, but my hope is that the drug war shifts from what are now illegal narcotics like cocaine, heroin, marijuana, and it shifts to prescription stuff because the black market on 3D printing of that becomes so out of control.
Totally. That would be, there's definitely money to go after that.
Absolutely.
Because there's so much money in pharmaceutical drugs. So this could save a lot of things for that as well. And then we could stop worrying about a plant that grows out of the ground.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Moving on.
So some of the most prominent thinkers of our time, including Elon Musk and Stephen Hawking, wrote a letter last week calling to ban robots that could kill you all by themselves. U.S. military is investing heavily in drones as the future of war, but a group of 1,000 scientific leaders wants to draw the line at developing weapons that essentially can think for themselves. Futurists like Elon Musk, scientists like Stephen Hawking, and innovators like Apple co-founder Steve Wozniak have signed an open letter calling for a ban on the use of autonomous weapons, with the petition scheduled to be unveiled at the opening of this week's International Joint Conference on Artificial Intelligence in Argentina. Hawking and Musk have previously urged scientists to be wary while developing artificial intelligence, cautioning that autonomous machines may not be able to understand the possible good and evil consequences of their action. This is pretty big, man. Like, all of our stories, especially this week, are really futuristic. Like, we're smack in the middle of the damn future. But this,
I don't know why we
probably won't matter.
I don't know why we need an open letter from our most intelligent people saying that a weapon that can think for itself is probably not a good idea.
Well, we need that because people are so stupid.
But
they
that's
have no
the
idea. They're just like,
disappointing
oh, well,
part. It boggles
robot.
my mind that we have to have the world's most intelligent people be like, hey, don't give a gun a brain.
We're so distracted, though. Like, society's so distracted.
I completely
wants
agree.
To think about this or know about it. But thank God we here at 86charles.com are bringing it all together.
I think that was the nicest way you could have said that. Society is distracted.
All right, let's move on.
Please.
You got some good news for us, John?
Nope, I sure don't.
Didn't think so.
Again, sticking with our future theme and drugs, in Mansfield, Ohio, a package dropped by a drone near a Mansfield Correctional Institution contained heroin, marijuana, and tobacco. I feel like I said that weird. Marijuana? According to the report from the Mansfield Correctional Institution, officials initially responded to a fight that broke out in the North Rec Yard. Other inmates from both the North and the South Recreation Yard began running to the fight. The inmates were all ordered to the ground and taken to the jail gyms and searched. When jail authorities reviewed the camera footage, it was determined that a drone had dropped a package into one of the yards for an inmate. Another inmate picked it up, and that's what started the fight.
This is an awesome
The future's
story.
here, man. You said it earlier. We are smack dab in the middle of the future.
When I was in jail way back in the day, you know how you got drugs in?
Your ass.
They would throw that, and then there was also a thing in Tent City in Arizona where like these guys would load up tennis balls and throw them over the fence.
That's awesome.
So people would come up, drive up, throw tennis balls with like a pack of cigarettes or whatever, like cut the tennis ball open and tape it, and then chuck it over. This is the future, man. We got drones dropping off drugs in prisons. That's so cool.
We have gone
So
from
excited.
swallowing balloons full of narcotics to freaking drones. That's incredible.
We've come a long way, man. We've come a long way. All right, let's
Moving
move
on.
Oh, I was reading. I put.
I'm like, it's your turn, dude.
All right. All right, so you're familiar with the Cecil the Lion story. I know we didn't talk about it last week because we weren't
Yes.
here, but it blew up social media.
Blew up all media.
Which, it's a pretty terrible story. Those guys who hunt big game, like, it's really weird. It's really strange.
Yeah, I just don't get
quite
it.
get it. Hunting is an incredible thing. It's an awesome thing. But please, if you're going to hunt, eat the animal, use all parts of the animal that you can. Don't just hang a trophy on your wall. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
Especially the way this one was, luring it out of its land so that it could get shot. You know, it's like,
Completely agree.
poor Cecil the Lion. So what this is about is that Delta and United Airlines have banned the transport of big game trophy heads on their airlines. American Airlines joined them as well. It tweeted, effective immediately, we will no longer transport buffalo, elephant, leopard, lion, or rhino trophies. Good thing for the airlines, but I don't know why this wasn't a thing before. Obviously, it takes outrage to get it to this point, but people have been doing this forever.
Yeah.
You know, people have been going over to Africa on these safaris and killing exotic animals just for trophy and not eating a damn thing for the longest time.
And I think, hey, good on the airlines for discouraging it. I think whoever you are and can discourage that sort of thing is great. And I agree with you. And like most change that we elicit, it should have happened a while ago.
Right.
It shouldn't have had to
And
take
the really
this.
sad thing about-
and the only credit I'll give to social media is at least when things like that, like when this ridiculous outrage does come out, it does prompt certain changes in certain situations.
Absolutely. All right.
Moving on.
One last story.
All right, back to robots, but no drugs this time. Have you heard about the hitchhiking robot?
I hadn't until just a couple minutes ago.
It's Hitchbot is his name. He is a talking, tweeting, hitchhiking robot that tries to traverse continents on the kindness of strangers. And it's done as a bit of a social experiment. They wanted the question is typically whether humans can trust robots, and they wanted to pose the opposite problem. Can robots trust humans? They got their answer. Robots can't rely on us. Or at least...
Wait, what happened?
Not Philadelphians.
Assholes.
You said it, but I didn't disagree. The endearing droid that had thumbed its way across Germany, vacationed in the Netherlands, and made the improbable 3,600-mile trek across Canada without incident, survived just over 2 weeks and 300 miles in the United States. Its creators announced that Hitchbot had been vandalized beyond repair and abandoned on a street in Philadelphia. The robot's creators were sent a photo of their vandalized robot collapsed among trash and dead leaves on the Philadelphia pavement. Its pool noodle arms ripped from its beer bucket torso, its plastic cake-saver skull and robot brain nowhere in sight.
Oh, man.
Are you
Poor
kidding
Hitchbot.
me? If you see the pictures of Hitchbot, he's freaking adorable, man.
That says a lot about the social, it was a good test.
I think that tells you, it
was a great test.
Sadly, I don't even think we needed a robot for that. You could have just asked me, hey, would this thing make it across the United States? And be like, no. Some jagbag in Philadelphia is going to rip its arms off.
How many times do you think people had sex with it?
With the bot or in front of?
With the bot.
I'm hoping 0, but I'm guessing 3.
I was gonna say we'll give the Europeans some credit for not beating the shit out of it, but they probably banged it. Somebody banged it. It's a good prostitute bot. We're getting there, man. It was a very futuristic nickel. What? Great work, John
Hey,
Derby.
You did a really good job. The future is here.
All right.
Word.
Word.
Jesse's favorite part of the show.
From last week.
Hello, folks.
So you guys talked about aliens, and all of a sudden a helicopter flew over Derby's place. Is Derby okay? Has anyone checked in? I mean, I would totally volunteer to do it, but I'm not going to, volunteer, because I'm a good friend, and as a good friend, I got to be around to make sure no further damage is done. And me going to make sure Derby is okay puts me in jeopardy. Ergo, vis-a-vis, como se llama, bad friend. Plus, maybe I'm reading too much into it. Maybe it wasn't in reaction to the alien story at all. Maybe it was in anticipation of the story that came right after, about the woman killing herself for absolutely no reason in a very cold, calculated, Manchurian Candidate kind of way, as if an implant in her brain told her to do it. Maybe that story wasn't fit for the pod waves. I sure am glad, and I want to be super clear about this. I sure am glad I, Jesse, don't believe in aliens or government mind control. I sure am glad when Derby mentioned the helicopter, I didn't pee my pants a little. And when I listen to 86 Charles, I never wear pants. So if I had hypothetically peed them, it would have hypothetically been because I instinctually grabbed pants to soak up the terrified trickle like a sponge to save the garment I would have been wearing, which would have been a super nice and 80% authentic kimono. This is Jesse, signing off, and the fact that absolutely nothing weird happened last week was my favorite part of the podcast.
It's time for the Facebook World News Update. This Real to Someone News Update is brought to you by Self-Importance. It's only important to you. A man in Los Angeles said he just wants to be famous enough that when he passes away, he will trend on Facebook. Goals. A man in Los Angeles said Donald Trump's rise in popularity after making awful comments reminds him of Miley Cyrus's after twerking. A man in Santa Fe Springs said he was speeding down the 5 with the windows down and John Mellencamp on the radio after a chill-ass night at work. A man in Los Angeles said he once killed a lion with his bare hands because it tried to rape him. See, that's different.
Let me tell you about the Fermi Paradox.
Paradox. A statement or proposition that, despite sound, or apparently sound, reasoning from acceptable premises, leads to a conclusion that seems senseless, logically unacceptable, or self-contradictory. It is bull. We are everywhere. The paradox only exists in your mind. You are so dumb. I'm looking you in the eyes right now, but you do not see me. I literally am holding my in front of your face and you are clueless. This is hilarious. You fool me. I must go. Scientists only believe what is, quote, real, unquote. Try not to believe just any white coat. They are paid to think. Can you imagine the pressure? Much of, quote, science, unquote, is paid for by the people who desire a certain result. What result would you like?
With any money.
You can have the results you desire. What do you think the holders of the Holy Scripture desire? They are all corporations at this point. I wish I knew the truth. Just kidding. Of course I do. Good luck with your tiny meat sack and that one channel receiver that you call a brain. We told Fermi everything and then he came up with his theory. Idiot. We have been in contact since the beginning.
A man in Tucson says good news and bad news, so apparently he is not allergic to bees. The 36-year streak is over. A man in California said whoever invented frozen water shaped like rectangles is a effing genius. This Real to Someone news update is brought to you by Self-Importance. It's only important to you. It's time for the Failed Athlete Perspective. Travis.
Yes.
How are you,
yes,
sir?
I'm here. What? Why are you asking me how I am?
Because I like to know.
Let's get to business. There's a big fight this weekend. Did you watch it?
Well, I didn't watch it because it always costs money. But I am fully aware of what happened, and I saw it after the fact.
It's pretty incredible what Ronda Rousey has done.
Yeah, she's pretty awesome.
This was a knockout, not even a submission.
Yeah.
So that's not her first. Usually it's a submission, but she's knocked a couple girls out.
Yeah,
right?
it's not her first knockout. Definitely not.
34 seconds. She's pretty much a monster.
Yeah, I don't think there's anyone that can stop her, right? I mean, I don't know enough about the field to give an accurate assessment, but
she's supposed to fight the Tate chick next. Hasn't she already fought her?
They fought twice before. They fought at what was the first one? Like Strike Force or whatever, some league that is now defunct. And then they fought once in UFC.
And Rousey won all of both of them, right?
Yeah, she won both.
Yeah. 12 wins, 0 losses. But yeah, I'm guessing so she's had 3 knockouts and 9 submissions.
You've never paid for one of her fights though, have you?
No. I mean, it's getting to that point that it might be worth it.
No, I just don't typically pay for fights, but I would pay for a UFC fight before I'll pay for boxing.
I don't know anything about boxing.
I don't either.
Because it sucks now.
Because I don't care.
And there's no heavyweights. And that Mayweather-Pacquiao fight, I think, was the end of boxing. Like, who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares? So let's stop talking about dead sports. Let's talk about a real sport.
Sure.
The National Football League. And guess who is making waves in the National Football League again? The Kangol himself, Bruce Arians.
The most progressive team in the league, man. The Spurs of the NFL.
Those Arizona Cardinals, buddy, hired Jen Welter, the first female coach ever in the NFL. Congratulations. Good job, Bruce Arians. Good job, Cardinals. Congratulations, Jen.
Good job.
Really happy for her. So she's an interim linebackers coach.
Right.
Through the preseason. We'll see if they hold on to her for the season. It's probably fairly unlikely, but it's a lot of good publicity for both sides.
Do you know that that's unlikely, or are you speculating?
I'm speculating. Just because why would they come out and say it's an interim position? Why would they even say that? Why not just hire her and give her...
Because maybe that's not the protocol of the position, and maybe they're going to do it the same way they would do it if they hired a man for the job. But maybe they know full well that it's like, yeah, this is going to turn into a full-time job. We wouldn't go through all this otherwise.
Right. I hope so. I don't know. I don't know how...
Because if they didn't think
NFL coaches get hired, but...
If they didn't think she's a full-time employee, why do you go through all of this and then can her in September or let her walk away?
Right.
You would go find somebody, either a different woman or a man that you know could do the job and be like, yeah, this is your job now. This is not a trial period.
And I guess since they never talk about it, we don't know, but I assume that preseason is probably a time where there's some extra coaches on.
Sure.
And then they don't make the team, right? That makes sense.
I mean, I could imagine that it's like maybe they have extra positions to help evaluate, and then once the evaluations are done and you start the season, it's like, okay, we don't need, the extra set of eyes or the extra set of hands or whatever it is.
You know what? I got the show. It's called Hard Clocks. It's about coaches in the NFL preseason. Hard Clocks.
No, I heard it.
Waiting for that laugh. I don't need a laugh because I'm serious and it's awesome.
Get it?
Hard Clocks. And the opening sequence is just like this guy grinding on a stopwatch. Do you see it? You see it now?
I mean, you're getting sort of the laugh that you wanted, but no, I don't see it. You dummy.
All right, so congratulations, Jen Welter.
Absolutely.
We do have one more NFL story. A little thing that just won't go away that we just wish would end.
It's the dumbest NFL story
ever. So give me your take on Deflategate. What's happening at this point?
My take is exactly the same today as it was the very first time anyone ever heard about PSI and football attendance. It's a complete and utter non-story. It means nothing. To act like Tom Brady was some nefarious character in this plot that was like, well, that's how they win Super Bowls. We get it now. That's the recipe. Tom Brady in the equipment room checking PSI levels. It's completely and utterly ridiculous. And if it happens to be true, let's say that the Patriots are only good because of the PSI that Tom Brady likes his football at. Let's just say that that's true. The National Football League needs to change the PSI to whatever Tom Brady says is appropriate. Because he's basically, he's arguably the best person that's ever thrown a football. And if you win 4 Super Bowls
why is the NFL
based on his PSI, that's the new PSI.
Right, for the entire league.
Stupid story.
But, okay, so if the NFL gives the team the balls and lets them prepare them, how are they not set to check them properly right after? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's the biggest joke of it all. It's like, why are you letting the team touch the balls at all if this is such a big deal? And then you're going to tell me that it's like this mega conspiracy that he had to break his cell phone and tell him because, we're going to have a down. Like,
compared him to Aaron Hernandez.
Bullshit. It's all
compared him what he did to what Aaron Hernandez did in terms of like, well, they both destroyed evidence. Are you kidding me? It is at its very worst, it's gamesmanship. He took advantage of something that was not being checked. And quite frankly, every other quarterback in the league should look at themselves and be like, man, why wasn't I doing that? If he's having that much success, then why shouldn't I be doing the exact same thing?
All right, let's move on to something very important, near and dear to my heart. Marcus Morris, who the Suns traded away because he's worthless, told the world on Twitter that he's blocking most of the Suns fans on his timeline because most of them are bandwagon anyway. I still got love for some #foe. Just move on, Marcus. We don't care. We're done with you. And as soon as we can get rid of your brother, we're done with him too. We're done with your whole damn family. The Morai are gone. Good riddance.
I think you talk more about the Morris twins than the Morris twins and the Morris twins' parents.
What am I gonna do when the aliens get here?
Once upon a midnight dreary, as I googled weekend weary, a strange website I came upon, known only as 86charles.com. I heard the voices of 2 men, one of them John, the other was Travis. He only said, Amazon. To support these 2 fools known as Travis and John, one must go to 86charles.com. Once there, you simply click on the link. Shop as you would and do nothing more. 86charles.com gets a cut of the score. I've brought bread.
To men, women, and children.
I've brought water with lemon for the table.
I have hot tea.
Can I box that for you?
I'll bring your change.
So I was working at a restaurant in a pretty high-end business hotel. I worked in the restaurant for about 8 months and showed up one day and had to piss very, very badly. So we parked in the structure of the hotel and, well, I let it rip and I parked on the roof that day. I ripped a stream of piss onto the top of this parking lot. And, if anything, more on my car, like my back tire, if anything. Just being, a citizen of this world and, not really thinking too much of it. Just that, maybe I shouldn't do it on somebody else's car or in front of a guest. But there was nobody present, or so I thought. And I go to work and start setting up the bar. And about a half an hour later, I get called in by my manager, and she is with 2 of the hotel security security guards, and they proceed to ask me, interrogation style, that Well, they didn't even ask me. They just said, it's been brought to our attention that you urinated on the roof this morning. And I was pretty honest. I just said, yeah, I did. I'm sorry. It was a stupid, obviously backpedaling, stupid decision on my part. I shouldn't have, done that and blah, 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 blah. Nothing's going to happen. Turns out they wanted me off the property because of that. Apparently a guest saw from the hotel room, allegedly, but they also caught me on a camera. So, yeah, I proceeded to work that day because my manager insisted to them that she needed a bartender and she couldn't send me home. So I'm shitting bricks the whole shift. Luckily, my manager assures me, look, you're just going to get a slap on the wrist. You're not going to get fired or anything. So my heart begins to feel a little better and not so tense. And I finished the shift. The next day, I believe, I came back in, and it was a little fishy because one of my friends had been asked by management to pick up the shift that I was supposed to work. So once again, my colon tightens, and I proceed to go into work, expecting the worst. And sure as shit, there is my GM and my other manager, and they pull me to the side, and they have to pretty much break the news that the hotel is not dropping it, and they're insisting that I get fired. So, yeah, much to their, disapproval, and much to, my disapproval, they canned my ass, which was a little much, I thought. But I guess my advice would be to, if you're going to piss in a parking lot, just make sure that there's no cameras and that you have, a Gatorade bottle. Yep, that's all I can say, I guess.
That was Jordan Crabb. Thank you very much, sir. We appreciate that story.
Great story, Jordan. Great story.
And you got your wish, Travis. This wasn't a friend of his. He actually did it.
Yeah, totally. Some fessing up to their own transgressions. Man, have you ever peed on a roof?
Sure. Yeah.
In a parking lot?
Yeah,
oh,
definitely. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely happened. Not necessarily at my job.
Right. I mean, I'd be a little wary, especially at the Grove, just like where I formerly worked in L.A., and that would be the closest thing I could think to where he's at, where it's just probably really high volume. There's a lot of people, and yeah, I don't know.
When I heard the story,
I think I'd be peeing there.
It reminded me of a job I had, and in part of the training, they were like, "Look, if you park in the parking structure, don't get caught smoking weed in there." They're like, "There's cameras, there's security guards," and then they go and tell you the story about the guy who went into the parking structure, smoking weed with other guys, got caught on film, denied it, saw the footage, and was like, never mind. Guess that was me.
Yeah, that's
so. I'm willing to bet that Jordan is now some part of the training program now.
Oh, totally. Don't.
Where
get
it's like,
caught
hey,
peeing.
if you park in the structure, don't pee on the roof.
We have restrooms available. The weird thing is, like, if they are this observant, there's probably attendants everywhere, and they've got cameras. Like, even if you're peeing in your car in a Gatorade bottle, do you think they'd see you too, or are you safe there?
Well, even if they saw you, I think they've got much less of a case. Like, you're in your car. That's still your property. You're not really doing anything to them. Like, they probably wouldn't dig it, but they'd probably look the other way.
It is absurd, though, that, like, that is such a big deal. Like, okay, it's kind of gross, and if everybody's peeing on things, but like some states, you become a sex offender for peeing in public. Yeah. Like, come on, that's so stupid. What is this? What does this become?
The only defense I would have of the hotel is if they didn't lie about someone actually saw him do it. Like, I guess I would understand that, because they claimed that a hotel guest saw him do it. If that were true, there's no
proof either way. We don't know.
But otherwise, I'm like, if he didn't go and piss on someone's car, what's the big deal?
Give him fine him. Give him a some kind of, like, it's not worth getting fired over. I think it's a fine. It's a warning. If there's anything else that you do in this parking lot, we're gonna urge, and we're gonna say that you can't work here anymore.
I think worst case, if a guest did see him, suspend him until that guest leaves, so that person doesn't have to run into him at the bar or something and whatever. But to fire a guy over someone that may never come back to your hotel regardless, that seems kind of rough.
Like, he should actually sue them based on the fact that if he peed himself and had to walk into work, it would have caused traumatic displeasure for the rest of his life. We got any grounds
here? Is that a legal term, traumatic displeasure?
Yeah, what's the name of your lawyer?
Your Honor, I would like to invoke the law of dramatic displeasure.
What's the name of your lawyer?
When something is so traumatic, you are displeased for a long period of time.
Professional embarrassment? I mean, I'll keep going. I've got so many of these.
Now, if he had peed himself and then got fired, he probably could sue.
Right, if he walked in and got fired, or, I don't know, probably not sent home. They could probably send him home.
I would hope so.
So, kids, in the future, if you really got to pee, just pee yourself and walk into work.
You're probably less likely to
What
get
are they
fired.
going to do?
You'll be mocked and ridiculed.
Hopefully you don't have jeans as your uniform, because then it'll be quite obvious. But if you have dark pants...
Well, black is ideal, but if you have khakis, you're really screwed.
Yeah, that's worse than jeans.
Yeah.
That's brutal. I just want to give Jordan some credit for him being a citizen of this world.
I am a citizen of the world, so I peed on my own car.
There's just a really good reason I'm glad to be in the desert, man.
You pee wherever you want.
On a tree right now, I'm gonna go walk out barefoot, pee on a tree, and be like, "What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?"
You want to know why you can do that? Because you're a citizen of the world.
Correct. I don't think there's any better way to sum up this episode than to call out to the citizens of the world.
Citizens of the world, let it rip.
John Derby, before we go, where can our loyal listeners find us? Or how about a new listener? Where can they find us?
I think everyone should go check out 86charles.com.
86charles.com?
86charles.com.
And if you're on the Twitter or on the Instagram, you can go ahead and find us at Company Blaster. We've been tweeting like madmen from fake Alexi Lawless, but football season's coming up. We need a new fake person. Who do you think? Fake Joe Buck?
I think we can be honest and say
fake Joe
you've
Buck.
Been tweeting as fake Alexi Lawless.
Oh, what? You don't know anything about soccer?
I don't care anything about soccer.
Fake Alexi Lawless was enraged by the Gold Cup. I'm glad we didn't even talk about it here. Maybe we'll talk about the game on
Copa
October 9th.
de Oro?
Copa de Oro is over, and good riddance. We didn't even get third place. We didn't even get bronze. The U.S. got fourth place. Pathetic.
That is pathetic.
All right, I don't want to talk anymore.
We've got to give thank yous. Thank you again to Jordan Crabb for the story.
Thanks, Jordan Crabb.
Thank you, Jesse McIntosh, as always, for Jesse's favorite part of the show.
Jesse McIntosh, great work.
Joe Corrigan is back next week for the Foodist Chronicles, so you can check that out.
Beautiful.
He's getting back from
good reading.
He's in like Baltimore or something.
Oh, so he's going to bring back some knowledge of the Baltimore cuisine.
I was going to say it's his daughter's first time having. Oh man, that's going to sound bad. Crabb will be eaten by his daughter for the first time in her life. That's the way to say that.
Thank you to all the contributors. Go to 86charles.com. You go to, if you're buying something on Amazon, click on the Amazon link. Help us out a little bit. John Derby is getting skinnier and skinnier. He needs to eat.
I'm withering away.
Thanks, America. And thank you, citizens of the world.
Citizens of the world, let it rip.
New boy in the neighborhood. He lives downstairs and it's understood. He's there just to take good care